We're here for a very special conversation. It's at the cusp of the launch of India's top 100 brands by the Kantar BrandZ, which is one of the world's most respected reports that are there. And who better than this expert panel that we've put together for you? We have Rana, obviously, from Kantar India. Paul, the global lead of Kantar, joins us as well. And along with us, the topper of that list, Ravi from HDFC Bank. And we have Pawan from Rapido as well. Well, thank you for joining in, and the most valuable Indian brands. That's, what an honor to be on that list. So let me start with Ravi. Ravi, HDFC Bank has been topping that list for as long as I can remember. What do you think HDFC Bank does year and year again to be topping that list, not only from a brand equity standpoint, but also from a stock market return, shareholder return standpoint?
I think it's all a simple principle of staying the course and being true to the brand principles and being true to the core principles of what we started off with, which is all about how do we actually solve a consumer problem and how do we evolve with the needs of the consumer as the consumer keeps evolving. So if you look at the 30-year-old history of what we have done over a period of time, what we see is maybe we started off with branch banking, then went into phone banking, and then went to, say, for example, internet banking, then to mobile banking. As the consumer's needs evolved, and similarly on the payment side, starting with a debit card or an ATM card to a credit card today on UPI as well as on multiple other products, it's the ability to constantly evolve and keep consumer at the core and customer experience at the core is, I think, what is the reason for us to be there where we are.
Consumer and customer experience. I'll come to that point and the differentiation between consumer and customer in just a bit. I believe that Pawan has an interesting insight out there as well. But you've been doing this survey for over 12 years, 20 years running now that I remember of. What do you think are the key tenets of a good brand, and what causes a brand to be a part of that list or fall off that list?
Yeah, we fundamentally believe that brands have to be meaningful, means they fulfill a need, either emotional or functional, right? So connect with consumers in a way that's warm. Secondly, they need to be distinctive and different. So that is coming out increasingly as a very, very important asset that makes you forge ahead and be able to charge a premium, more specifically, which really contributes to shareholder value. And thirdly, they need to be available, they need to be salient at whatever be the point of purchase or contact, right? So if you have all three of these, you're meaningfully different and salient, you generate a lot of consumer pull in the long term. And if you fulfill that desire, right, then you're on your way to glory.
You are on your way to glory. In fact, over the last 19 years or so, every year, the top brands, basis the Kantar BrandZ survey, have actually given more shareholder returns than MSCI World Index or even the S&P 500. But I have to ask you this, Paul. India has a specific, unique opportunity and a problem as well, or perhaps a unique idiosyncrasy, so to say. Globally, the top brands come from either the media, entertainment, or the retail space. Whereas in India, I was looking at the numbers among the top 10 brands that there are, or top 100 brands that are, 53% come in from financial organizations or business, process outsourcing or global capability center sort of sectors. What is so unique about India here, and how do you think we move to the media, entertainment, retail part?
Well, I think it creates a great opportunity for Indian companies to actually take a page from the global leaders and fill those gaps in the market. Clearly, there's opportunity for companies to build not only great brands that resonate with consumers, but also generate a lot of value for shareholders. And the opportunities are endless. So I would love to see more Indian companies pull pages from the playbook, adapt it to this market, and build those champions here.
And on the other side, would you look at some of the global companies, global countries, pulling some from Indian pages as well, because a lot of the solutions that we bring are fairly unique too?
Yes, well, I mean, you talked about one of the sectors being the technology sector. We are going through an AI revolution, and the technology capabilities, the technology expertise, the technology support that sits within India, and I see it in my own company, so much of our own innovation comes out of India. That exported to the rest of the world should create a lot of value for shareholders.
Speaking about innovation, speaking about technology, speaking about something uniquely Indian, let's talk about Rapido, because it's in the world of Ubers, Olas, and a lot of the shared mobility, etc. Rapido has been rapidly rising. I mean, I was just making a point before the show, right? The three things that I love about Mumbai right now: one is the metro, the other is the coastal road, and the third one is Rapido. Those bikes, they zip you from one place to the other. What did you guys do differently to actually break the duopoly of the big ones?
I think to Rana's point, right, we have stayed very true to the ethos of, what we really believe in, okay? We haven't gone for short-term gains. We have put our drivers, our captains, we call them captains, at the center of all the conversations we have, all the decision-making we have. So it's a very, the three words which come to my mind are transparency, shared values, and how you're building an emotional connect, emotional authenticity. Okay, these are the three things which we have really implied to the core, apart from being a tech company and having cutting-edge tech capabilities. But I think what has been the driving force is these three things. And in last 3 years, we have really seen dividends. The type of affinity which we have been able to garner in the market, both from the captain side and the consumer side, because as they say in Hindi, agar aapka captain khush hai, to consumer khush hai, So the fulfillment levels on our platform are very high. We stand for affordability and convenience. It's all because of the sharp focus which we have on the captain front has helped us reach where we are.
So, I have to ask you this again. Now, from a bank standpoint, if you look at some of the older bank buildings, etc., globally, they are huge fortresses. Why is that? Because they needed to be that way. There was a physical display of how strong, how solid, and how secure a place where a lot of people put their money was. Now that as we move towards, digitization, as we move towards online banking, security systems in the phones, when it comes to software, etc., have to be extremely strong and denote that fortress-like capability. So through that and this, how do you traverse the challenges, and what do you think is your right to win at a time when a lot of the software companies, etc., have a lot better capabilities of at least being secure?
I think they are in a different industry, so we don't compete with the software companies. See, trust is the bedrock of all banking, and as you rightly said, the old ages, the trust was about the building, because everybody physically thought they were putting their money inside and they wanted the building to be big, safe, and that was the connotation of trust. Today, I don't think trust connotes that. Trust connotes a very different thing, that when I look at my mobile phone to check the balance, is it still visible? So the whole idea of the money being available on the mobile phone is what people are looking for. And it's also a long history of the last 30 years that we have been able to ensure that the consumer money is always safe, secure, and we can be the most trusted bank. And almost any kind of a survey you do in India will come out on very high on the trust marker per se. Today, as we leverage technology, what we always look for is what is it that we can do to further increase the safety, security, and trust, which perception we already have very strong. And our Vigilante initiative, for example, is a very classic example of what we as a brand are continuing to do, saying today people are losing money not because of the bank's fault, but because of their own fault. It could be a moment of passion, moment of greed, anything which is making them actually lose money. And day before yesterday, we came out with a full page advertisement talking about digital arrest, which has nothing to do with the bank. It is like somebody coming into your home and taking your money away. You will not blame the bank. But in the case of a digital arrest, the money is going out of the bank. So we are taking it upon ourselves to go ahead and educate our consumers. What is a digital arrest? What is an APK fraud? What is an investment fraud? Because at the end of the day, as the trust markers move, finally, at the end of the day, it's a hard-earned money of the consumers, and we are supposed to be the custodians of it. And we see where we can add more awareness, more value to them, in addition to a phenomenal tech investment that we do to make sure that our mobile banking app is safe, our net banking app is safe. adaptive authentication. If we see you coming from a different kind of an IP, we'll ask you for 2 more factors of authentication before we allow. There are lots of things which people say like it is customer inconvenience. For example, HDFC Bank doesn't allow you to transfer money to a new beneficiary in the first 24 hours and 48 hours, more than 50,000. A lot of people have said UPI, you can just add a person and do 100,000. But when it comes to the bank, this is the primary source of your money. Do you really want to do it? So that's where some of the things that we have done over a period of time, where we have put the consumer trust and the ability to safeguard their money as the key cornerstone of where we are.
So that's deliberate inconvenience to increase security. That makes sense. So what about you? You know, you work in the business of security, convenience, affordability. A lot of the riders that I see, maybe anecdotal, predominantly male, people sitting behind them, predominantly male. What is it that you're doing to, ensure that people of all genders, including women, feel safe and are using at least the two-wheeler rides as much as they're using the four-wheeler rides?
Yeah, so in his case, it is security. In my case, it's safety. Yes. That's the differentiation. As we said, for us, we have close to 30 lakh captains on our platform. I do 50 lakh rides a day. The type of rides which we do per minute is higher than most of the other numbers which we can, double out. All of these 30 lakh captains which we have, they have gone through a background verification. Okay, there's a very stringent background verification which happens.
And you can claim that no other apps do the same, as rigorous as you do.
No, so it is that we are consistently doing it. Others also do it or do it sporadically. We are consistently doing it. That is the cornerstone of our safety feature. So that particular aspect is taken care of. And the scanning happens, the scrubbing happens across the country, for each and every person, through the e-codes and everything. So that is one very important part. The other thing is this, like Ravi said, you can't make a new transaction, a person beneficiary for 48 hours or 24 hours till 50,000 rupees. In our case, a new driver cannot come on board for 72 hours. You give your documents. After the background verification happens, we still take 72 hours for the driver to come on board. So there are multiple checks also which happen. There are 13 more checks which we do. Apart from this, staying in the realms of safety, we have, if you go onto a Rapido app, we have got 21 features which are there, which get activated before the ride, during the course of the ride, and after the ride. Okay, so what we are basically doing is making sure, as far as humanly possible, that we take care of the customer and the consumer. Consumer being you are taking a ride, and customer being the captain, because things can happen from both the sides.
Yeah.
Okay, so we take care that it happens as far as humanly possible, as I said, because we are taking in complete ownership of that ride. Till the time the person is there live on my ride, it's my ownership. We don't get into the things of, he's my employee, he's not my employee, and all this stuff. This ride has happened on my platform, it's my responsibility, and we will deliver it come what may.
And is there Rapido for women coming?
Rapido for women, yes. So we have a stream called Women Customers for Women, Women Riders for Women Customers. So currently we are experimenting across bike taxi and autos, but very soon we'll be in cabs also.
I have to ask you this, Rana. We know the brands that have made it to the list. We know the brands that are new to this list. We know the brands that have seen the biggest rise in this list as well. What do you think are the tenets that take the brand off that list? And how do you ascribe a number, a brand value? Because mathematically speaking, the value of a brand should basically be unbranded product versus a product with that brand, and the difference of that in the price, right? So if you could give us some sense on the methodology here, and what were the brands that could not make it? for whatever reason?
So one is to stay on the list, you need to be consistent, right? So you need to be meaningful, different, and salient, and in a consistent manner, you need to do it better than others. So the brands which are not on the list, it's not like they are, you know, losers or
yeah,
you know, if I may use the word. It's just that somebody else disrupted and did better. And one of the factors we are seeing, especially coming through, is, like I said, the ability to be different, right? That's what is propelling the newcomers ahead. And if you, like in this current age, if you try to ride it out just, you know, by being virtue of your size, right, and not doing innovation, it's very hard to stay there because somebody else will come and disrupt you in the category. So, for example, in packaged goods, we are increasingly seeing, you know, a fragmentation caused by D2C players. You were just discussing even unbranded products, right? So the consumer is always looking for new stuff which is relevant to them, and anybody who does that better will do it. Just coming to the other part of your question, it's essentially, you know, the intangible brand value that we are looking at. And if you are a brand that is higher on desirability, then you add a multiplier to it. The higher you are on consumer pull, or what we call demand power, which is a mix of these three metrics, you know, meaningful, different, and salient. Yes. Yeah, the more you are, you know, likely in terms of the multiplier on that. And which is why it's not just a predictor of existing sales, it's also a predictor of future growth.
And where do you think, when you listen to these conversations, India is versus the globe, and how you know, different are the two? What path of the curve are the two at right now? And you know, what are the places where you would feel that, you know, there are gaps that need to be filled?
Well, when I hear these amazing stories, I see market-leading brands and market-leading value creation that companies around the world should look at, should examine, and should admire. Both for the pace and the speed of innovation, but also the consistency and longevity over time. There's a phrase we use called the speed of culture, and the world is changing so fast, and culture is changing so fast. And that puts a challenge on both these businesses and many others to adapt to the here and now, to the changes in cultures, to stay relevant, but also to be meaningful and true to their brands and their heritage. And what we can learn from both these organizations, what companies around the world can learn, is how they are true to themselves, how they've established, you know, the emotional relationship, how they've built the trust, how they've created unique differentiation, but also, and this is absolutely critical, how they work within the broader ecosystem. None of these, we heard about, you know, we heard about working with the phone and online banking with the phone. The phone is how you access Rapido. These are complex ecosystems now that all companies have to learn to work with. If you just try and go it alone, do it the same way you've been doing it for decades, you won't be successful in the digital and the AI era. You have to learn to work with the big tech companies, with the platforms, with the telcos, sometimes even with the regulators, in order to create a package that's easy to use for customers, that's trusted by customers, and that wins their business every day.
Right, it is like this because it has always been that way, is something that needs to be dispelled in this evolutionary world. Let's ask some, you know, uncomfortable questions, because it is easy to stay consistent, stay focused on the ethos of the brand, etc., when the going is good. It's only when the going gets tough where you, you know, try and remove what is not important or not seemed important immediately. Say, for instance, you know, if the company is listing and there are many quarters of no profit, how would you then stick to the tenets and the consistency, the ethos of the brand, when you have a bunch of shareholders clamoring for some profit and driving the market prices down?
So, a good question. Our investors on board have invested with absolute clarity as to what we stand for. We are celebrating the 10th year of Rapido's existence. in last 3 years, we have reached where we have, but it has taken us 10 years to diligently be after it, build up a platform which can deliver safety, convenience, and affordability. And we are very, very clear that we stand to bring about that social difference in the gig workforce, for the gig workforce. And our entire model is based on that particular social responsibility. So there is absolute clarity between us and the investors. When will we hit the market is for time to see. But I don't think there is any dissonance between us and our investors because we are on the same page. So yeah.
Let's wrap it up with a quick rapid fire then. I'll go across the panel here. What one brand do you think, which is currently not as well discovered, could be the brand to watch out for from India?
I think a lot of the traditional brands are really coming up. So, the Tanishqs, right? And you'll have a lot of indigenous jewelry, fashion brands coming up. And I think that's what I see. It's not going to be your LVMHs and so on succeeding in India.
You are not supposed to say HDFC Bank. Beyond that,
We can't. All the food brands in India.
Because
I think because of the fact that Indian food taste changes every almost 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers. And if you see outside how the food has been done, it's like one taste for the whole country types. Whereas Indian palate is very different, and Indian brands on the food scene is capable of doing all these stuff. So I see a lot of scope for the Indian food brands.
All right, and what about you? Not Rapido.
No, Rapido, of course, is going to be there.
Yes.
But anyways, I think it's not going to be a tangible product, but I think, according to me, it's going to be a service. We are all about mobile first and that digital thing. And the way we have cracked it, I think it's phenomenal. Quick commerce is a big case in point. I think that's one chapter which we can take across to the other parts of the world.
What about you?
For me, it's a category. It's food. I travel the world. I've been to 10 countries in the last 4 or 5 weeks. And everywhere I go, I see an explosion of Indian restaurants from the north, from the south, from the east, from the west, taking over the big metropolitan areas and engaging more and more consumers around the world.
For an Indian brand to succeed globally, what is important? Does it have to stay to its Indian roots and Indian origins, or does it have to be geography agnostic?
What is really clicking for the brands who are making the mark these days is the cultural and emotional connect which you are able to build, and regional customization and localization. Now, these are the few things which come to the top of my mind. Now, if you're able to crack it in one geography, you will have to use the same thing in that geography, but the rigor has to be that one.
Got it.
Same product, being in the same avatar, being relevant somewhere else. I don't see that happening because you will have to adapt, to the nuances with that geography throws. So that's my point of view.
That's a wonderful way to end this conversation. Thank you so much, guys, for such generous insights and candid talks. Thank you.
Thank you.